Welcome back to the Gold Series. I am D2, and with me is Shrink, and I can't get this bar at the bottom to go away. Give me 1 second, guys. In any case, we are going to be seeing the decider match coming up next between Buer and MrHumor. If you've missed the matches thus far, we had Sword drop out 0-2. We had Zhangbo, our #1 seed, but a guy whose only accomplishment was winning the Gold Series Xi'an, and not a very well-known player. He actually gets out in first, so congratulations to him as we see our original casters come back onto the table here. And yeah, gonna be a really interesting matchup between Buer and MrHumor. They did not face each other earlier, so we're going to see basically everyone in this group play each other other than Zhangbo and Zhangbo and Sword. As you can see, the bracket right there. So yeah, Zhangbo on the top there, he advances with the 2-0, and then Buer, he lost the first one but managed to win the losers match, and MrHumor going the opposite path, winning his first match and losing in the winners bracket. So you can see both players looking a bit tired actually in this current situation. And who do you have advancing out of here, Strink?
Well, I'm not sure about who I should give the advantage to, but I definitely hope that Buell could go to the playoffs as we see his priest got banned once again.
Never gets to play that priest, Ken Buer. Actually, yeah, every single time his priest has gotten banned, which is feels bad, man. Feels bad. Just want to go out here and play some priest. Just want to, get Anduin out there. But unfortunately, it gets banned every single time. That means it's going to be Druid, Warlock, and Paladin for Buer. It's going to be Warrior, Warlock, and Paladin for MrHumor. So, pretty similar lineups. MrHumor is the only player in this group to not bring Druid. And we've seen Druid be, it's been somewhat successful in certain cases and somewhat unsuccessful. That's kind of the way that Druid works, right? Is that it can be very inconsistent. So obviously, MrHumor not going to want to deal with that inconsistency. Going to be a Paladin mirror as far as the class is concerned, but going to be mid-range for Buer, and going to be the Secret Paladin for MrHumor. But as we've mentioned before, this Secret Paladin, it feels like a mid-range deck. There's so many mid-range options, and he just happens to have, the 6 Seekers and the Mysterious Challenger in there.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And actually, very good starting hand for Bull. I think it's better than Miss
Mm.
Humor's.
That is a great pickup on turn 2, though, for MrHumor. He didn't really want to play that Knife Juggler into the shield and mini bot, because whether you ping off the shield or not, it's a really bad trade for you. But now Buer has, he coined out the mini bot for that very purpose, to get some good trades, but not finding himself any good trades in this scenario. And, MrHumor is just going to keep this up with that Muster for Battle. Obviously, we see the Consecrate in the hand of Buer, so let's see how much MrHumor plays around that going forward. We could actually see the Zombie Chow thrown away rather than use the... Yeah, it looks like that's going to be the case. Just going to throw away Zombie Chow. It's done its work. It's traded with that Shield and Mini bot, traded with the higher cost mini, which is perfectly fine. And yeah, it just makes it so that this Shield and Mini bot is so much more difficult to deal with.
Yes, and Bart could choose to play the tempo.
Yeah, you kind of have to go
Yeah.
for this now. You have the Keeper of Alderman in your hand as well, so it definitely makes sense to go for this particular play. And another
Oh,
Shield Mini bot is picked up. I wonder if he just goes for it. It will kind of constrict him to only having, speaking of MrHumor, going to constrict him to only being able to hero power next turn. But he's getting so much power on the board, and even the Consecrate doesn't really deal with this. So you might have to go for the Consecrate anyway, I think, as long as something else isn't picked up. But yeah, going to be the
yeah.
Quartermaster, so you have to do this. It's not the worst Consecrate. It's a kind of a sad Consecrate, but you are picking up 2 Divine Shields, which are pretty annoying. As you see the egg picked up, which is actually pretty good because it can get buffed by the Avenge. But yeah, gonna hold off on that Light's Justice. But yeah, not too bad of a Consecrate. Kills the Knife Juggler and pings out 2 Divine Shields. And now we're gonna get this Sludge Belcher out on the field. Unfortunately, we're gonna see a Mysterious Challenger come up, which is pretty devastating. And even a Harrison Jones. That's really good for him, going to be able to replenish his hand once a weapon is on the board. And how do you deal with if you're Buer? I guess you just attack in, and hopefully the Mysterious Challenger gets buffed so you can go ahead and keeper that guy. Wait, he's already playing it? So he's not going to attack, I suppose. Yeah, that means he's not attacking. Alright, well, Sludge Belcher comes in the hand of MrHumor. This is the strength of his deck, right? I mean, even though he just played Mysterious Challenger, he's just drawing big guy after big guy after big guy. It's almost certainly going to be Dr. Boom this turn. But gonna go ahead and clear out this Sludge Belcher. I wonder if he pings off this shield. He might do so. Nope, not going to do that. Doesn't really want to waste the time. Just gonna go to the face. I mean, we are tied in hell total 21-21, right? But yeah, definitely MrHumor has the advantage here.
Yeah, and actually, I guess this moment where wishes to have that Fanny Mergelin, but not getting it. I still don't like the choice the bard choose not to attack. I mean, it's reasonable, but
Right. Yeah, I mean, because now you're in even a worse spot. I suppose he was just hoping that his opponent didn't have a follow-up. You know, it's just kind of, more secrets and more small stuff. Again, these players aren't able to see the past matches of their opponents, and Buer obviously didn't play MrHumor earlier, so maybe he thinks that it doesn't curve as high as it does. Maybe he thinks he's getting unlucky facing this Dr. Boom, which he kind of is. I mean, that is the best 7-drop in the game, essentially, but, even minus that Dr. Boom, there was, a Sludge Belcher plus a Hero Power, so, it doesn't realize how high this deck curves for MrHumor here. And that's definitely hurting him right now. How much damage do we have on the board? It's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 damage. So I'm going to just be this Boombot attacking, it looks like. And wow, hits for 4, which is pretty huge. Going to actually try to go for the entire board clear here. Doesn't quite get it, but good enough, I suppose. And yeah, it's going to drop that Sludge Belcher. More big minions hitting the field. Still no answer for this Dr. Boom. And if you go for the Tyrion, you're almost dead on board, so this is just looking really bad for Buer here. Equality is reasonable, but nothing to really follow it up. He's reaching for that Lay on Hands. Maybe he just wants to get a quality Consecrate afterward, but if he does go for the Lay on Hands, then he's taking a ton of damage in the meantime. I mean, he'd heal for 8, but then he'd take 15 on the backswing, so yeah, just go for the Tyrion. And do we pick up lethal here? No lethal, but Tyrion is pretty good. Well, he could actually draw lethal with the Harrison. Could draw into True Silver or something like that. So yeah, it's gonna go with the Harrison. Throw that. No. Oh, well, okay, whatever. Either way, it's fine. He probably feels like, yeah, because if this dies, if there's a quality Consecrate or something crazy like that, then there's going to be Ashbringer coming out, and he can always Harrison the next turn. Definitely makes sense. There was no real wrong play there. Both of them were amazing. Do I play my Tyrion or do I play my Harrison and get rid of his Ashbringer and draw 3 cards? All of the above. They're all good. So that's going to be game number 1. Going over to MrHumor with his Secret Paladin, his Secret Midrange Paladin, which is doing a lot of work today. And that's going to be putting him in a 1-0 advantage. He has Patron Warrior and Warlock remaining. Did we get to see... No, his Warlock has been banned this entire time, so we haven't seen MrHumor's Warlock left. Or Warlock yet, excuse me. Interesting. We haven't seen Buer's Priest either, but we're never going to see his Priest, unfortunately. Going to be the Druid, Warlock, and Paladin for Buer.
Truly, what this work could be? I guess it can be Reno, consider the choices from players before, but
looks like his Mallylock. Looks like his Mallylock here.
Mallylock is...
Double Zombie Chow, interesting. So that's going to be good for him. Going to hold off this mid-range Paladin in the early game. He isn't playing against Secret Paladin, and he most likely... I don't think he saw the equality, but since he knows it's mid-range Paladin... Or does he know it's mid-range Paladin? Wait, was there anything strange that he played? Speaking of Buer.
War?
Yeah. It could still be Secret Paladin. Maybe. I mean, we know that it's mid-range Paladin, but, I mean, from the eyes of... Actually, he's going to trade and not use his Dark Bomb. Interesting. It could still be Secret Paladin, I think. Anyway, it doesn't really matter too much. But I guess the reason... He figured that this Zombie Toe isn't as good as Dark Bomb, and he'd rather get a bigger Twilight Drake, I guess. But in any case, if MrHumor does suspect that it's mid-range Paladin, then he'll probably want to play around equality.
That's true, and Buer is facing up against the choice of playing Temple uh, outdoor again. Where is his master for battle?
Where are you, Master for Battle, indeed? So, this Zombie Chow loses one attack. Gonna be the Twilight Drake, it looks like, and this Zombie Chow is just gonna die. Well, there could be a Blessing of Kings to kill off this Twilight Drake. Actually, yeah, just gonna go for that. Otherwise, Twilight Drake gets to go trade back. So gonna kill that off, and now the Dark Bomb can kill that off in return, or, nope, actually that Black and Corruptor can't do anything this turn, unfortunately. And if he taps, then he doesn't have the mana for it. Oh, Malagos, one turn too late. But Dark Bomb will just have to do for now, it seems like. And this 1/3 Zombie Chow. This Northshire Cleric that can't draw cards, or this Void Walker without taunt, or anyway, a lot of different cards. I guess Sir Finley Murgleton would be the best one. Anyway, this Zombie Chow is going to have to hold the fort for now. There is help in the future in the form of that Black and Corruptor, potentially. There's a Big Game Hunter, by the way, which might be useful in the future if there's a Dr. Room coming out. Just going to be... Huh. Okay. Yeah, so it makes a bit of sense to just get this Lothab down. If there's a Choose Over, for instance, then he can finish it off later. But
yeah, but the Divine Shield is really good in the situation, and the Fang is getting something else, which makes that Quartermaster really sad.
Yeah, I mean, that's the funny thing, right? He has Quartermaster and Jessica, I guess, makes sense with the Finley, but these Quartermasters not going to work too well if you Finley first. He's thinking about coining the Finley? This is a bit bizarre. In any case, on the side of MrHumor, once the turn is passed over, he can utilize this Mortal Coil to take out this Lothab with the help of his Zombie Chow. And we'll see what else he can pick up. Thorson's pretty good.
Thorson is more than pretty good, in fact, given the hand that MrHumor is having. I mean, I don't think it play.
Yeah, the thing is with the Mallylock, a lot of times you can just win the game via the value of the minions that you have in your deck. You don't really need to discount the combo pieces. Obviously, he does get a couple of discounts on those combo pieces. Obviously, that being the Malagos and the Soulfire, but just the utility that he's able to get from discounting other stuff is pretty good. The Murloc Knight comes down, which is good for Buer here, and that will continue to draw stuff unless or continue to make stuff, I should say, as long as MrHumor doesn't get rid of it.
Yeah, actually, the Preliminary is of a great synergy here with the minions that coming out of the Murloc Knight.
Well, kind of. I mean, it makes this... Oh, interesting. So, now he has Justicar. I feel like a bunch of 1/1s is really good. Just keep making 1/1s and Malagos Law can't really deal with it. Or do you try to go for, tank up and then you get out of range of the combo? But, I mean, Mallylock, again, I said before, they like to play for the board and they can just win via value. They don't really need their Malagos. It just happens to be a card that works with the Dragon Synergy, and it's a way to burst your opponent down, which sometimes you need if your value attack doesn't work. But yeah, I think that Buer is definitely thinking about last game, or a couple games ago, excuse me, and he's thinking about whether or not the Justicar is really worth it in this situation. Or excuse me, the Sir Finley Murgleton's worth in the situation. Looks like he's gonna go for it though, and does get has a difficult choice. If he goes for the Warlock, he can actually just draw cards for free with his hero power, without hurting himself. So he's gonna just go with that, and yeah, just gets to draw cards every single turn from now on, which is kind of nice, and actually gets synergy with his Quartermaster.
Yeah, I mean, you don't gotta. Oh,
did he get the attack off? Looks like he did.
Yes, he did.
Okay. Well, that ended up working out. Black and Corruptor is pretty nice here. It is able to take out this Justicar no problem. And he can also actually just Defender of Argus up afterward. And do you take out this Murloc Knight, or do you take out the the Spirit Walker. I mean, I guess you don't really care about the cards drawn by your opponent because I mean, your opponent has a hero power that just draws a card every turn anyway. So maybe you just take out the
Yeah,
Justicar, take out the Murloc Knight, and then go ahead and play out this Dark Peddler, and everything's looking reasonable for the melee lock.
definitely the king breaker for the money lock. But however, I mean, just get some extra burst. Yeah, I guess this is the play.
Right, so card will be drawn for Buer here. Picks up a Defender for Argus. Now the card that he picks up from just, it being his turn. Keeper of Oldemon, which is pretty nice here. He can take a couple stats off one of these guys. I mean, he honestly has a ton of options here. I mean, Defender helps him out quite a bit. So does this Keeper. Won't have the Keeper potentially for, maybe a YOLO melee lock or a Malagos later from MrHumor. So that's something to keep in mind. Can actually draw a card first. Okay, this makes a bit of sense here. Draw 2 cards. And yeah, you can just basically ignore this Twilight Drake.
Draw another card.
Draw even more cards, right? So, Minibot and Sledge Welcher comes down, so Power Overwhelming is not going to be able to hit the face here. So, let's see. There's only 9 damage to the face here from MrHumor. So I imagine he's going to play the value game a bit more. He could tap. He won't overdraw if he taps here, so maybe just go for the Twilight Guardian and the Heal Bot to keep himself a bit safe. I kind of doubt you go for the Yellow Malagos. It's actually going to draw more cards here. Which means he needs to play something. Probably, yeah, probably just Defender of Argus here. Definitely makes sense. So, gets a pretty big board. Does MrHumor. This game is really back and forth. And the Paladin wins through attrition, remember guys. They basically just keep... I mean, well, I guess he can't make him 1/1s, but he can, continuously draw cards as well, and has a lot of, stuff to basically contend with the Warlock here. Picks up an Owl to, make this Twilight Drake a bit impotent here. And what does he do from there? There's just so many options for both of these players that it's hard to even suggest things. Like, everything is an option, honestly. It's really hard to commentate this game because there's so many things they can do with each hand. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't mind, like, basically any card being played out of the hand of Buer right now.
Yeah, I mean, Defender Argus is really good, especially if you get one more attack on Divine Shield minion.
Right. And now he gets to use the slime to take out the Drake, so that definitely makes sense. I'm gonna go ahead and just do that. And yeah, this board is looking pretty sizable. MrHumor, I think he really wants to draw into a Hellfire, I think. But he's gonna go ahead and heal bot. I think he's gonna heal bot tap actually. Or he's gonna play something in tap. He just needs to draw into some way to clear this board. Will he Hellfire if he draws into it after? I wonder. Doesn't pick up Hellfire anyway.
No, it's now, and I think you play.
Well, you don't really need a heal bot, but it is, a sizable minion. If you play this Dark Peddler, you need to play the 1-drop right now, or the Ooze, or the Owl, and those aren't really the greatest options. So yeah, I do like going for this heal bot. It means you don't have to go for it later. Healbot comes in the hand of Buer again. He has so many things to do. The thing is, you pretty much know that your opponent doesn't have Hellfire because it's really hard not to Hellfire this board. So you can maybe go for the Quartermaster or the Muster for Battle Quartermaster, and this might be the last time you're able to do so.
Yeah, I guess you just hope that your opponent doesn't have that in following 2 cards. So.
Although maybe he doesn't. He might not. Maybe he saves up for a long time, and even if your opponent draws Hellfire, you just do that after the Hellfire. So maybe maybe instead of YOLOing it, he just stays patient here, and he knows that the opponent's going to eventually draw in a Hellfire. There's Dr. Boom, which is pretty nice, but it will get BGH if he does play it. Nope, gonna be the heal bot, interesting enough. So I guess Buer just kind of views that Lay on Hands as a dead card right now. Gonna actually play out his muster for battle now, realizing that it felt. I mean, Hellfire could come down, but it would come down if he buffed him anyway. There's a
And
Bran. If you Bran into Dark Peddler, you won't overdraw the Discover card, which is something. You don't really want to play the Ooze on just a Light's Justice. Well, there is a Twilight Drake, or excuse me, a Azure Drake. You can't Bran Azure Drake because you overdraw. Um, basically, MrHumor is saying, where is my Hellfire? Where are my dragons? Actually, he does have dragons, so he's actually fine with that. But he wants Hellfire. Gonna play the Dark Peddler, which means he needs to play another card out of his hand. There's a Soulfire. He can go ahead and do that, but now he needs to play a card out of his hand. Maybe just go for the Ooze. It's pretty weak Ooze, but it's better than throwing away your BGH. Better than throwing away, an Owl, I suppose.
yeah, and actually pretty good Master of Battle and into Quartermaster there for Buer, and he should probably know that his opponent doesn't have hover or any kind of AoE for that matter still, so
Buer's running out of cards, though. I mean, he's getting pretty low here.
yeah, and that can be another reason that you go for it.
I would be very surprised if he doesn't use his face here. I don't understand why you wouldn't. I guess he doesn't want to take any damage because he just saw his opponent get double peddler off, or a one peddler off. There's a Hellfire, by the way,
Yeah,
right on
and
time.
that's the Hellfire.
Right on time, right? There we go. Let's look at Buer's reaction. He was more or less expecting it to come eventually. But yeah, that's basically the board cleared. 6 cards. Oh, 6 cards left for Buer. 3 cards left for MrHumor. I wasn't expecting that. I thought that maybe Buer had drawn more, but it's obviously not the case here. So 6 mana left. You can't Bran into Healbot. Just gonna single Healbot, it seems like. And let's see, Malagos plus double Soulfire is 18 damage. So if there's a power overwhelming kill and the Soulfire isn't discarded by the Soulfire, then it could be lethal here for MrHumor.
Yeah, it could be lethal, but you have Cell Structure, you have. I think you played Cell Structure in the
He's thinking about
Shredder
lay on
here.
hands. He was hovering over it just now. Yeah, what I mean, there's a few things you can go for, right? You can go for True Silver, Sludge Belcher. You can go for, um, I guess you kind of have to have the Sludge Belcher, right? Because your opponent might have power whelming. You never know.
Yeah, the problem is that you have already seen both uh, Dark Bomb already, so you don't worry about that. Yeah, this is play I prefer. So, second Hellfire from MrHumor.
So
I
Mr.
think,
Humor's 2 mana off lethal because he could have gone Owl, power whelming, Malagos, double Soulfire, but he's 2 mana off of being able to do that.
yeah, I mean, 12 mana, you can't. I don't think you can somehow get innovate with this Malilock deck.
Looks like
So
he might go for it. He might just Owl and then power whelming hit the face here, and hope his opponent doesn't have any healing.
yeah, but you still have the problem of Hellfire throw a Hellfire, which happens every time.
He's gonna go for it here, and develop a board. So Buer sees this, and he definitely wants to heal back up. He's gonna heal to 25, but he's gonna start fatiguing first, which is obviously a big deal. Picks up equality, which is really nice here to start clearing out this board. Doesn't really want to take any damage, but that means he doesn't have equality for later. So obviously he can attack into this Twilight Guardian with his 2 minions, and then use his face in the owl. Um, with its remaining mana, he either equalities or does nothing because he can't use his hero power at all.
Yeah, that's the problem with stuff anywhere that you don't have that great synergy with your hero power anymore. Uh,
Well, I mean, for a long time it was pretty good synergy because he wasn't hurting himself. But he's gonna go down to 23, and wow. So Lothib comes up. Could just brand Lothib, I guess.
yeah, Brand Notep is pretty powerful here.
Oh,
I
he's
mean,
gonna
single
Hellfire
Lothep.
Lothib. Okay, so what this does is there's no real way to kill this. You don't have power equality. You only have quality consecrate. You can't equality plus choose silver, so he's gonna go ahead and play out his Tyrion. And so,
Yeah, Mr. Human doesn't have any way to deal with Tyrion whatsoever.
well, he still has a 2 and 3 chance of winning the game because the Soulfires are 9 each, that's 18, and then Buer's gonna fatigue for 1. So as long as Mr. Humor,
Yeah, but Brock could play True Silver to heal him for
well,
potentially.
you can't play Choose Silver and Tyrion. If you play Tyrion, you get the taunt. If you play Choose Silver, the Lothar hits you in the face. So if he plays the Tyrion, then Mr. Humor has a 2 and 3 chance of winning.
No,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yes, that's true. Money goes into double so far. It's
Um, yeah, so that's going to be it. And this is what it's going to come down to. There's nothing else for Mr. Humor to do. There's no reason to keep playing up minions and try to go that way. So, going to be Malagos, 2 and 3 chance. We're going to see if it happens here. Let's see if he doesn't discard the Soul Fire. That's going to be it. That's going to be game for Mr. Humor. And he is going to take a 2-0 series lead. Well played by him. And that's his first Warlock game today. So pretty well played. Again, Buer, I mean, this is the second time, right, that the Finley has basically, kind of ruined him here. I feel like if he was making 1-1s the entire game, it would have put so much pressure under Mr. Humor. He would have had to start hellfiring even before the Muster for Battle came, and then once the hellfire came, Buer could have just gone for Muster for Battle plus Quartermaster. It would have just been so powerful, particularly with the equality in his deck, and even things like the Keeper of Olamon. I feel like those 1-1s would have done a lot of work, particularly because when he made the decision to go for Finley, he actually had the Lay on Hands in hand already. There is an argument to be made for you. Maybe you try to get the tank up, and then you basically get completely out of range of ever dying to Malilock. But it's really risky proposition.
Yes, that's true, and actually, that's what usually happens to Bora in the past. That you bring a lot of black tarot cards, and you just lose because even though you did well in the beginning phase of tournaments, and suddenly that your tarot cards are just starting to turn against you. I guess that's what actually happens here, and we are probably seeing the last game of the day. It's
Well, I mean, mid-range Paladin has gotten a bit better against Patron than it used to be, so I think it's still okay. I think Buer might be able to pick up a win here. Obviously, like you say, I mean, it's a bit favored for the Patron, but we'll see what happens.
that's definitely true. Not any weapon pickup for Mr. Humor. That's definitely a good start.
Ooh,
For
Shredder right on time here for Buer. Mr. Humor didn't really want to play into True Silver though. That's why he didn't play the the Frothing Berserker. Actually, it would have just died to the board anyway, so that definitely makes sense as well. But having to deal with this board here, I mean, this is why this mid-range Paladin can be pretty good because you can't just hold off forever as the patron and OTK your opponent anymore. and if you develop a board of patrons, and it might get quality consecrated, so that's definitely an issue. Looks like it's going to be the Tempo Aldor on the field, and this is just a really difficult board for patron to deal with.
Yes, indeed. And this might be a play that you can go with, but
Do you go for a keeper here? Looks like it's going to go for the keeper, which means he's going to be able to clear this board and then hit the face with the Shredder. And again, just a lot of pressure coming here from Buer onto his opponent.
yeah, MrHumor, maybe he wants to.
Oh, that is definitely what he was looking for. The only problem here is that on board, there's ways to clear off 2 of these minions. And actually, even without using equality, Buer can just clear off all of the patrons that are capable of reproducing. Oh, and he even picks up a cog hammer, so he doesn't even need to sacrifice his minions. So yeah, I think you just go for the cog hammer here. You might even go for Aldor onto the 5/1. You don't really need to. I guess you could equality as well if you want to save Aldor for something like Dr. Boom. It's kind of weird, right? Do you use the equality here and save the Aldor, or do you use the Aldor and save the equality? It's actually gonna go for what? Gonna go. Actually, Muster for Battle is not too bad because you just saw a whirlwind, and you can maybe put like the equivalent of a Noyatron up. But Buer definitely indecisive here. You can see his face. He's pretty tired at this point.
Yeah, he's also very frustrated of how this series has been going. It's really not what he wanted to begin with, so definitely understandable.
Actually, gonna save both the Aldor and the equality. Just gonna play a hero power here, and Harrison Jones gonna come down. MrHumor definitely needs these cards. I'm gonna go ahead and play an Armor Smith as well. Let's see what comes out of this Shredder here. It's going to be a Youthful Brewmaster, 3/2, nothing special, and just gonna be probably a True Silver killing this off.
Interesting that
he could go for Muster plus True Silver, but yeah, I think you just start making dudes here. It's already kind of a whirlwind target anyway. This game is going pretty back and forth. I imagine we're going to see Dr. Boom here.
Yeah, Dr. Boom, nothing really into unless you play the Whirlwind first.
I don't really see Whirlwind. He's going to play the Despite here, interestingly enough. Huh. What does that even do, though? I'm not really sure. I guess he didn't want his Dr. Boom dying to True Silver and attack and the Youthful Brewmaster, but he doesn't realize that there's stuff to deal with. And now he's had to dealing with the... Now he has to deal with, the Dr. Boom from his opponent's side. No hesitation from Buer, just saying screw it, just put this guy in the field. Now it's a patron though, so that's actually really interesting. And he's going to go ahead and make sure that there's a better chance for more of his patrons to live. Going to make 4 patrons before he sets out these boom bots. Dr. Boom's not going to die, but going to be pretty big patron board. And that's even more patrons on the field. So it doesn't even need to use the second roll one, I don't think. Yeah, just going to go and hero power up. So, there's an equality. Though, unless you're... I mean, you've seen already a whirlwind. You've seen a cool task. You've seen an inner rage. I think you might just kill off these 3/3s. The one issue, though, is that your opponent could have Battle Rage, and that would be a bit of a disaster if you let these injured guys live.
Yeah, that's true. And you're not actually playing out for, say, Grom or something. It's definitely BH that.
Alright, so you're gonna just play out this Aldor so it doesn't get any, or the 1/1 doesn't get the greatest trade. It's gonna force basically a 3/2 attack in if he wants to go for that. Speaking of MrHumor. So now if you're MrHumor, what do? You can't Whirlwind, really. You can go for this play, which is reasonable. Just play this Doctor Boom. There is still inequality on the side of Buer, but nothing really to combo with it.
Yeah, he could pick up the Consecrate. I mean, and
Such
Blood
is
version
not.
is
Yeah, it's not too bad, honestly. The thing is that Buer's actually at 12 life, which I'm not really sure how that happened, but it happened. And he needs to basically protect his own life, which means he might need to throw away this Lothar. We could
I
also see
think you
maybe a
play Master
Lothar.
of Battle first.
Well, it doesn't really matter, right? Because they're going to be one of them anyway. So probably going to see
No,
a Sludge Belcher out
I
after
mean,
this.
Lothar might be able to tank one Boomba.
Oh, right. You're right. That's true. So a bit of a weird, different order there. This game is, I mean, it felt like Buer was in a good spot, right? He was putting pressure on, and, you know, he had the quality if any patients
Oh,
came out. But yeah, that's actually a huge hit right there.
yeah, I'm
So,
sure.
yeah, you
Or
just
just
do
say
this. You
some
just hit the
curses.
face. 7 damage to face, has a Lothar on the field. No real reason to whirlwind here. And that could be the series. I mean, I was expecting it
and
to go to the next
that
game. Justicar's not going to do it.
that's a serious, and that's a day.
That's our day. I mean, honestly, Buer was doing so well. I was getting okay. Buer's gonna come back. It's gonna be 1-2. We're gonna go to the next game to see if MrHumor can take it out. But yeah, pretty good comeback by MrHumor, and he is the second player to make it out of this group. Congratulations to him, and he will be moving on to the round of 16. Buer, on the other hand, is eliminated. Unfortunately for him, our streamer nominee, our basically our talented streamer who has actually won championships in the past. He is out of here. So basically, 2 champions already gone. Buer, he won the G League and he's out. Invictus, his sword, won the I League and he is out. Meanwhile, Zhangbo and MrHumor are your 2 players to move on and get out of this group.